If I were to think of a classic dessert for Christmas, ginger molasses cookies immediately come to mind. With Christmas just around the corner, let's whip up a batch together. After baking 6 batches and testing different ratios of flour, fat, sugar, spices, and baking times, here's a recipe I've decided to share. For the ingredients, you'll need 150 grams of all-purpose flour, 75 grams of castor sugar. I skipped the supposedly essential dark brown sugar, and I'll explain why shortly. 45 grams of butter, 40 grams lard, or you can use shortening. 1 large egg, a quarter teaspoon of baking soda, a quarter teaspoon of table salt, and a spice mix, which includes 2 teaspoons of cinnamon powder, a quarter teaspoon of ground nutmeg, 1/8 teaspoon of ground clove, and 1 tablespoon of ground ginger. Note that the ginger powder tends to lose its flavor quickly once opened, so use a fresh batch, or as I did, some fresh ginger. However, fresh ginger compounds are heat sensitive, plus everybody has different level of tolerance of ginger taste, so you'll need to experiment to find the right amount. Optionally, half teaspoon ground black pepper for a hint of heat. Last but not least, you'll need quite a bit of unsulfured molasses. Molasses is what turns castor sugar into brown sugar in the US. Depending on the percentage added, it becomes light or dark brown sugar. To make dark brown sugar, mix 2.5 teaspoons of molasses with every 250 grams of castor sugar, rubbing together until each crystal is coated. This sugar isn't the Chinese kind of brown sugar. The color looks identical to the Chinese light brown sugar, but they're different products. Anyway, I make this demonstration just to make a point. There's no need to use dark brown sugar in spice cookies. It's easier to just add more molasses directly to the recipe to replicate dark brown sugar. Now let's make the dough. First, take a bowl and add all the dry ingredients, including the flour, baking soda, and all the spices. Sift them together. If any larger bits of spices don't pass through, just add them back in. Mix well and set aside. Peel and grind ginger into paste. I find that 1 tablespoon of ginger paste adds enough flavor without altering the texture too much. In a separate bowl, combine the butter, lard, salt, and castor sugar. I prefer to start by rubbing the salt and sugar crystals into fat till almost no loose bits are visible. Then use a hand mixer to beat the mixture. This method helps prevent loose salt and sugar crystals from flying everywhere and creating a mess. Since this is a small batch, you'll need to scrape down the sides of the bowl often. Beat the mixture till it becomes fluffy and lightens in color. Then add 67 grams of molasses and mix well. Scrape the sides again. Add 1 egg yolk and beat till fully incorporated. Scrape the sides. Finally, add a ginger paste and mix well. That's it for wet ingredients. Now add a prepared dry ingredients to the wet mixture. Use a rubber spatula to start combining them. Then switch to your hands. Wearing a disposable glove can help, as this dough is very sticky. Make sure all the flour is well incorporated. Scrape off any dough sticking to the glove, cover the bowl, and place in the freezer for 30 minutes. This will firm up the dough and make it easier to handle. Use an ice cream scooper or spoon to portion out 2 tablespoons of dough for each cookie. Space the dough balls at least 7.5 centimeters apart on baking sheet. If you want to stick to tradition, roll the dough balls in a bowl of granulated sugar to coat them. I just skip this step because I find the cookies sweet enough, but I like to experiment by topping them with a bit of rock sea salt. Bake the cookies at 180 degrees Celsius. For softer cookies, bake for 10 to 13 minutes. For a slightly crisp texture, bake for 13 to 15. I baked mine for about 14. When they come out of the oven, the cookies will look a bit puffed, but as they cool, they'll settle and develop more wrinkles or cracks on the surface, which oddly makes them look even more appealing. Molasses cookies taste best when freshly baked, in my opinion. These cookies are full of warm spices, and fresh ginger adds a delicate touch, along with a slight heat from the black pepper. If you like the sugar coating, it adds a pleasant crunch. If you use only ground ginger, reduce the amount of flour slightly. Cookies made with just ground ginger tend to be taller, with a crispier exterior. Over time, the cookies will lose their crispiness and become softer. The spice flavor is also mellow. To keep them fresh, store the cookies in an airtight container. But since these are for Christmas, don't miss a chance to show them off. Pack and decorate them however you like, and hand them as decorations around your home. Merry Christmas, my friends!